the arts community, like somewhere along the lines of music or film or photography,
Like promo for
painting.
your shit. Promo shit.
Yeah.
That T-shirt, yes, that T-shirt at the time. I had a friend of mine, Dawson, who was with some other people. I don't want to leave anyone out, so I don't want to just shout names. Together, they were doing something called used clothing, and for a while, they had all the DJs in Toronto wearing their stuff. And and I didn't know, back then where or how to go and get merch done, and I knew that Dawson did, so it was easy to run the idea by him, and next thing you know, boom, T-shirt. I can't believe you still got it. That means that thing's got to be. Does that have a
dude,
MySpace address on it? Does it have a MySpace address on it?
As your SoundCloud. Sorry, you're lagging a bit. Say that one more time.
I was saying, does it have a MySpace address on it?
No, it's not that old. Just SoundCloud, Twitter, and Facebook. There's no MySpace. I don't think it's that old.
So I've been super fortunate, incredibly lucky to travel right around the planet, playing music. One of my favorite places is Canada. I've been coast to coast. There's a few spots that I haven't hit, but otherwise I have, and I love it. I love Canada. I love playing here, especially Edmonton. I've had some incredible experiences there, and that's where I met Van Damage. It's great to have you guys with us here on the Utility Room. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here, man.
Yeah, dude.
Is it?
It's yeah, for sure.
Is there a delay for us? Is that
a little bit?
So
like 2 seconds.
I would say watch the Skype and then close everything else is what I would say, and then maybe even like turn off the data from your phones, or at least the Wi-Fi, maybe not the data.
Yeah.
I
don't even think I have the Wi-Fi.
And then maybe it'll help. Let me know if it starts. If it's like greater. So you guys have had, firstly, like, we're the first threesome on Utility Room.
Oh shit! Okay, wow.
All right.
Cherry popped. Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Breaking new ground.
And so it's really cool that you guys are able to actually be together, like physically together.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't think I've seen you since September.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been a minute. So just existing in this new normal that we got. It's I used to see him all the time, and now it's
few and far between for sure.
Yeah.
So how did you guys come together? Bring us right back.
I'll let you start.
Oh man, I'm gonna say these were the after hours days. I'm pretty sure. Dave was playing. He had a night that he was playing at Twilight, and I was rolling. I was rolling with Boudang back then, and it was just crossing paths here and there, and it just happened to be that we had we just followed the same music, and we really it got to this point where it was kind of a running joke where it's like, hey, we should make a mix together sometime, kind of thing. Oh yeah, it's like those tracks are great. Let's make a mix together sometime. And that sometime became a long time. It took us forever before we finally got together, and then we made a mix, and it was actually called Bout Time because it's about time we finally did that together.
Yeah. So I think he knows this already, but I was trying to get with Boudang when I first started DJing in this city, and like most crews, they're really tight knit. You kind of have to know some people. They don't really just welcome in whoever, because the reason why Boudang was cool is because the people who were in it were real and stuff like that. And I wanted to get in there, and I was actually, it wasn't Twilight. I was doing a Sunday party. We would open at 10 a.m. and we would go till 5 p.m. It was called Worship Sundays at this club called Decadence. And I just booked him to play one day because I was trying to get in with Boudang, and we just met there and we started jamming. And then I kind of got into Boudang, but there was so many DJs at the time in Boudang that they would just make people tag, because it was like, if you want to play at this party, you're going to have to tag with somebody. So every event, it was a different person. I'd tag with this guy, Damon would be with this guy. And whenever we would jam, it would be like It would be cool. We had a little groove because you know when you tag with someone when you're DJing, you don't really know them and you don't really know their vibe, and sometimes they want to play 3 of their songs and you play 3 of yours, and things kind of the flow doesn't really go.
Yeah.
But whenever we would jam, it would just be 1 for 1, and it would be like boom, fire, fire, fire. We're like, and then eventually we just kept telling Marty, the guy from Boudin, we're like, oh, just stick us together all the time, and then we would just tag because it was like we were the same person, kind of.
Yeah, we rebranded ourselves as Van Damage, and that was the way it went.
Yeah.
How'd that name come about? And is it associative with?
I mean, it's almost entirely just way too many 80s action movies. That's really nothing else to it. And it was a sticky name. It was, yeah.
Yeah, I know he came up with the name. Whenever we would record mixes back in the day, we would always hang out at his house, play like NHL hockey and just like spin vinyl together. And he just came up with it one day. I don't even know where it came from. Probably, you know, the gods of, you know, marijuana or whatever you want to call it.
But you've got names that both begin with the letter D.
Yeah.
It could be D squared. It could be giant D's. You know, that's a.
Well, that's not wrong, but TMI. But
yeah.
But even because our names are really close too, like David and Damon. Like even when I would
That's what I'm
say
saying.
his name,
like,
people would think that I was saying my name.
I get called David all the time.
What do you think it is about having, like being a DJ, being out there and having an alias? I mean, I obviously have an answer, but it's not. I'm not interested in my perspective. I'm asking you, like, what do you think?
I can go first if you want. It's weird. Like I'm definitely no rock star, but I'm sure you can agree. Like it kind of becomes bigger than you are. Once you hit like a certain point when there's like a large group of people who have these experiences with you on stage. Like to me, it's like I'm just some dude who, you know, I'm driving to this event, I do my thing and I leave. But everyone else on the dance floor, they build this like relationship with you, and you might not even know who they are, and they kind of like have this idea of who you are. So just existing in that space where it's like this person has an idea of who I am, I have no clue who they are, they love me. It's a weird place to be because I'm just some like nerd from who plays too many video games, and I'm not anything, and people see me as this like other thing sometimes, and it's a bit of a trip, man. What about you?
And well, I was just gonna add on to that. It's kind of funny. A lot of like when people see this act or whatever, a lot of the time they actually think Van Damage is one person. That's a thing. That's a common thing that's happened many, many years.
Is there an anonymity about having the alias that makes it so that it becomes more about the music than music is there with the name, and that's what makes it bigger?
I think it does make it bigger because it's almost like a brand at this point, right? It's good to have that. I mean, our promo doesn't really lend to that credence. Like it's you'll see both of us in the promo pictures and whatnot. So, but just on the flyers, you see a name. It's Van Damage. Or who's playing? It's Van Damage, and you know, sometimes it's like you could see Stanton Warriors or something like that, and there's and sometimes it's one guy. You're like, oh, is that Stanton Warrior? Like, how does that work? Sometimes we have to split the atom. And another running joke, we call it Van Solo sometimes when we do that.
Why have you guys gone and been double booked in the city and been at one spot and been at the other simultaneously?
Yeah. Like the last time it happened was like a couple Halloweens ago. Like you were in Rocky Mountain House,
That's
wasn't
right.
it?
Yeah.
And where was I? Was I in Edmonton or Calgary
I
or
think
something?
it was Edmonton,
yeah. And plus like Damon, I don't know, like he's when I tell people about it, like he's more of like the behind the scenes dude that makes all the cool stuff happen, and I'm the guy that's just like out. I used to be the guy that was out all the time, so that's why a lot of people think it was only one person, because they would usually just see me often because Damon's a little more introverted than me.
But that's the dichotomy that actually worked well for us, was that the strengths for either one of us are exclusive, right? And it really helped to have that aspect, to be both approach these situations from different angles, and it's really just helped the overarching picture for sure.
like right now, excuse me, like right now, he's showing me all his new toys that he's got over the last year. And again, I haven't seen him in a long time. He's got all this tech stuff. It's like beautiful. I'm like, wow, cool. Well, I got us some gigs that we're gonna play. So like I trust him to make all this cool stuff happen. And he's like, yeah, man, just go get those gigs for us, and I'll make all the cool stuff. It's like sweet, because I'm not really too. I'm like I'm a tech guy, but like this much, and he's way more into that stuff than I am. He's just like, yo, here's all this new stuff we're gonna play with. I'm like, cool, thanks.
And actually, you were an inspiration for some of that. I think the first experience I've ever seen with somebody using Touchable before was you. It was at a gig at Edmonton, and
Yeah, that's true.
And we were kind of looking at it and we're like, okay, that's the future right there. I don't know what's going on there, but I need to know more about this. And it was like you did some Inception shit there, and and it changed our sound. It changed the way we approach DJing. It changed the way we approached music.
Yeah.
And I think you were honestly a pioneer in that.
Yeah, at least for us.
I might have been at the time the visual highlight, but by far not the pioneer. I mean, touchscreen stuff was happening long before me. Most of my stuff was actually set up by Jason Spanu. So had he not helped me get on my feet, I don't think I'd have been able to been out on the road doing what I was doing at the time. It's interesting what you guys were saying before, because I was about to say, what is it that might make the two of you together come together as a team? What is it that makes that stronger than separate? Like, how is it, you guys are doing the Voltron thing, right?
For me, it's like multi-layered. This is like maybe it's my ego talking, but I'm going to use Pink Floyd as an example. Not that we're anywhere near that, but those guys.
There's DJing and.
Well, we're gonna yeah. If you go see David Gilmour by himself, you go see Roger Waters by himself, they're amazing. If you see Damon DJing by himself, he's dope. If you see me by myself, dope. But when we're together, it's like his musical style and mine, the way we came up, like he's a little more rocky, like he came up with like 9 Inch Nails, and me, I was way more into like hip hop and rap. So our roots, for some reason they just really bleed well together. So some examples that are coming to my head is like we played this gig in Calgary once, and I got a little too under the influence of some things, and I could not DJ like whatsoever. So I'm like, yo man, I'm just gonna stand up here and pretend, and you just do the thing. And he played for like a half hour till I got my head on straight. So there's that benefit. But like you were saying before,
were you standing next to the mixer?
Yeah, and I was jumping around like I was doing stuff.
Were you?
Oh, for sure. Well, why not, man? Like I was already having a good time anyway. So if I could be up there and feel that vibe from the people, like why not? Actually, you know what? I think I might have like laid down in the booth for a little while first, in this like booth in the back, and then I came out later.
These things happen. I mean,
yeah.
DJ nap.
Sure. Let's power nap, rock star nap,
disco nap. Yeah.
Quick schliffy, Yeah.
But like more of a rooted thing, and I think Damon agrees. Like we're pretty aware of what our strengths are, and we can just see like how beneficial it is. By shit, we've been doing this for like 20 years, man, and like we've been Van Damaged since 07, and people still care about us. People still book us. They still love the music that we play, and they still resonate with us. And whatever we're doing, it's working. He's the tech guy. He's the gears that's driving this thing, and I'm the one that's like, leading the way so we can get there. We're just aware of each other's strengths, I think.
Do you guys ever have a conversation about the music that you're selecting to play, where you go deep? One of you is in love, and the other one is barely in like, or just in a dislike of something. Have you ever found yourself left off in a situation of where there was a disconnect, or is the conversation continually complete? Is it fluid?
It's extremely fluid. I think most of the time, if there ever is something, it's just hey man, it might be time to retire that track. That's literally the extent of it. It's like, okay, sounds good. But that's the thing is, Dave and I shop for different styles of tracks. Like it's all like there's a lot of the time where he will be like looking for something on Beatport, and then he'll get to it and he'll be like, no, Damon's gonna get that track. If that's happened, literally, he'd be like, no, I'll skip over that one. And so it's kind of I don't know if there's some kind of some psychic thing going on here, but it's the music that we approach, the way we approach the tracks that we're playing is totally different and complementary somehow.
Yeah, the amount of times that he'll play a song like I've never heard him play before, and not only will I have a brand new track that'll go with it, like he kind of mentioned, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I heard that on Beatport, and I figured you would show up here with that song." So it's like I kind of know his style well enough where we
Right.
just like I don't even tell him. I'll be like, "Yo man, I got like 10 new tracks warped. Here you go." He's like, "Sweet." He throws it into Ableton, and we just rock. And he's like, he'll have tracks, and we just like they just work well together. And I don't even know what it is. Like it's not like it's something that I ever really have figured out. It just happens.
And part of the fun of that is a lot of the time when Dave's playing these tracks, I'm hearing it for the first time when we're playing out, and they're bangers, right? So it's an excitement for myself, right?
Yeah, we kind of
As
challenge each other
as a
too.
fan of music.
I'm curious, what is it that you think a banger is? What is a banger? This is for me. This is for me.
I have an answer, but you go first. Okay.
Well, when I used to go to shows when I wasn't DJing, I used to like to dance, right? So a banger to me is if I'm up there, I'm moving, I'm dancing, I'm just feeling it, right? That's like we like to move around, and that's to me that's a bang.
So
Yeah,
so
and
a
it's such
banger is the response from a song that gets you excited.
Yeah, the emotional response, the physical
Okay.
response.
yeah, like it's not like a Tiesto song playing at midnight. Like that's not what we mean by banger. I mean it more like something that makes me move. That's the same kind of way as him, whether it's like a deep house track or
Which
or
Tiesto song? I mean for some of them, I mean they're
oh god, I haven't I can't even think of a played out Tiesto song. I was gonna say David Guetta instead. Maybe that would have been a better
no
one
that
because
I for
like
me I got to tell you I'm not quite sure if that works either. I'm sincere. I'm sincere. David
yeah,
Guetta has
yeah,
put out some, and especially Jack Back, which is his alias.
right,
Have you heard any of this?
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
this shit is like it's like 303 raging. Like definitely not like a radio wouldn't play that music. No way.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
know. I'm more thinking just like those EDM tracks that are just like
I'm here all night. I'm here all night, Dave. I'm just I'm gonna keep.
pushing. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. Just to finish the thought, I think what a banger is. I don't know that term's been kind of hijacked a little bit. Like when you
Okay,
hear banger, like you think of like that like typical electro like "Nrrr," like the same 4/4 that everybody's pushing out, and that's not what I mean. I think it's more maybe something that like makes my heart bang. That's something that makes me want to move. That's real, I
so it
guess.
has nothing to do with the sounds of the song.
No, it could be any genre. It could be like I said, like a deep house track. Because like when we brought you here a couple years ago, we played an opening set. So we were playing lots of deep house, like some techie stuff. And when you get into those kind of grooves, like those. I guess you can't really call a deep house track a banger, but yeah, just whatever makes me want to move would probably be a good way to label what a banger is. But I wouldn't even use that term anyway. I rarely use that term.
I'm saying this because it's a bit of a conversation on Utility Room, and that's because
Okay.
I'm getting promos from record labels calling songs bangers, and when I open up the promo to listen, it's not banging. And so to me, a banger is like that's the extension from the word of banging. If something it's
Yeah.
bang. So
Right.
it's
Right.
so if I put on something that's like, you know, and
You're banging, duck.
someone's like, this is the new banger from, XARP, whatever this, someone. Hopefully, there's no
Upside down
XAR.
X.
There probably is an XAR. I'm not saying it's you. I have no idea who you are. I'm just saying
I think it's
something,
Elon Musk's new kid.
right? Yeah. I'm just saying, and I'm like, this is not a banger. I don't know. Like, this is this genre, which is fine to be this genre, but that's not a banger. So that's why I was asking what it is that you guys thought. Where do you find yourself sitting musically right now? Like for stuff that you would select, like where are you finding your music? Are you shopping mostly on Beatport? Do you find yourself going to other portals and doing your shopping? And when you do find yourself shopping, what is it that you're pulling?
Well,
I'm interested in this, by the
yeah.
way. Go ahead.
Okay.
We haven't played together in a while, so I want to hear what he says.
So you have to shop on the main, like the main sites. You have to hit the beat ports and whatnot. You got to cover your bases. But a lot, like I follow a ton of music blogs, like a ton of music blogs, and a lot of the times, like I find a lot of tracks on there. Like, and where are you shopping?
Well, see, that kind of like reminded me because he would always do the blog thing. I don't know, you probably remember in like the 2000s, especially like the mid 2000s, like blogging. Like I know it's a thing now, but getting music on blogs was, you would find some stuff on there that you weren't finding anywhere else, and that was kind of like his jam. And mine was a little more Beatport. And this goes another one back to you. I remember you told me a story once when you were in town that if you can't find, because I think we were talking about the Beatport top 10 and how all the DJs just kind of like robotically, not all, but like a lot of mainstream people will just kind of go to that top 10 and just download all of them and not really do any digging. You made a comment a while ago, like, there's like 500,000 songs on Beatport. If you can't find something on here that nobody else is playing, you're not looking really hard. And Beatport is where I usually get my stuff, but now Bandcamp is where I get a lot of my stuff as well. Something that I love that Bandcamp does is they have like days where the money goes straight to the artist, where they don't take any cut. So I try to have my cart full of stuff and I just wait for those days. Like there's another one coming up at the start of April here, and I'm going to pump in probably about 50 or 60 bucks, maybe more, just to get the money right to the artist. So Bandcamp, or if I don't find it on Beatport, yeah, those are pretty much the two for me.
Yeah, a lot of the time I stay away from the charts. A lot of the time,
Yeah.
I have the labels that I follow, I have the artists that I follow, and because I've been doing this for so long, like it's a pretty robust list of artists and labels. So by the time I get through all of that, like I say it to a lot of people, like I go through thousands of tracks, so you don't have to.
Yeah, so people don't have to.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any label loyalty? Do you find that there's a label that you're constantly shopping with and that they're always putting out the music that you're looking for your sets?
Um, like back in the day when we were doing the vinyl thing, probably. At least for me, like one off the top of my head, like Subliminal or like Defected or like Tidy Tracks, like I would be a little more loyal then because the avenues of getting music were so few and rare. So it's like, okay, if there's a defected track, there's a pretty good chance I'm gonna like this. Oh, Subliminal, I would just see the logo and I'm like, I want to listen to that without even knowing who was making it. But now people aren't really, I don't know, maybe you might have a better opinion of this, but like producers aren't really married to labels like they used to be.
It's
Like,
kind of funny. You just mentioned that it was a visual thing. I think the visual aspect has been removed a lot,
yeah.
which is interesting. And a lot of people, they're visual learners and they remember things by looking at them. So I think that's interesting that you mentioned that.
And plus like artists, like I said, they're not really on certain labels. They'll be kind of all over the place. Like maybe Skrillex might be on his label, but I find a lot of producers, I'm just using him as an example, a lot of producers move around. It's like, oh, I got a track signed by this label, a track signed by this label. So I'm more following artists because they're not really, again, it's like kind of like pro sports. You're not going to see a guy who's been on the same team for 10 years. He's moved around to like 3 or 4 different teams. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like, is it like, are you still with certain labels that you only go to for certain things, or like, how do you shop?
Beatport has a feature, using Beatport as the example, and also I primarily shop there, and that's just because I feel so comfortable with the user interface that when I get
Mm.
up there, the navigation seems simple for me.
But are you
So
married to
Beatport,
labels still?
so Beatport has a feature that allows you to follow labels,
Yeah.
artists. So I get the notifications for the labels. So there's labels that I've unfollowed along the way because they've changed their direction musically, and I just felt that that was not what I was interested in. So we went our separate ways.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think labels should have kind of a DNA like that runs throughout their catalog. That's kind of how I look at it.
okay, so there definitely is that happening still. Um, I still love Boys Noise Records.
Mm.
I feel if you go through their catalog 50 releases ago to whatever came out last month, there's a vibe that's
Yeah.
there. I feel the same way about Turbo Records. I feel like there's a vibe that's there. It's either for Turbo. For me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it, or I'm like, that's strange for me.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
but I still follow along. So and then it ends up a bit like more of like I guess like a Cracker Jack Flock surprise for me that I'll open up the label and then I'll discover I'm like, oh, this
Right.
is the one that I'm loving. You know,
Right.
uh, Private Persons.
Hmm. I don't think I know what. I don't think I've heard of that before.
Uh, so I've been really loving a lot of like what like I guess what is known as Detroit electro. It's not electro house. It's predominantly broken beats. Still based in 4/4, 130, 135 BPM, and a lot of the stuff that I've been I do like DJ Godfather just put out something recently, and I thought it was pretty cool for me. I've been really into a duo from Russia called Locked Club.
Hmm.
Their music for me is fucking rave.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's great. You guys could check that out.
Yeah.
Uh, where where is it that you guys are practicing? Obviously, the COVID stuff has changed things as far as routine. But where are you practicing? How often are you practicing?
Um. So we didn't really like mention this at all, but my birthday was yesterday, and I think I'm kind of like when we were
I was
texting or
I was
whatever.
late to it.
Yeah,
Happy belated.
that's cool, man. Like I was kind of
Yes.
mentioning to you, like another breaks DJ that's celebrating his birthday on your show. Um,
But is that what you guys would say your sound is? Is breaky?
no, no, no. Well, okay, broken beats, yes, but break beats being 125 to 135 ish BPM, it's in there. But like in our bio, we kind of have this little blurb, and at the bottom it says insert all possible music genres here. And that's pretty much what we do, man. Like we're not really like again, when this going back to the party where you came, we were playing an opening set, house music the whole time. If we're playing a later on in the night, we kind of just move through the genres. We just kind of let the BPM lead the way. Either we'll start at like 80 and work our way up, and we just kind of move through genres. But
If that's
just,
if that's the scenario that you guys are running, then what is it that people are expecting when they see Van Damage?
Expect bass. Expect damage.
wow, he's
Bass and
promoting us.
damage.
He's promoting us. Not to your speakers though, unless they're shit.
Like, shouldn't you guys have a van and throw van parties out of it?
Mm, that's actually how I got into the scene. Actually,
He
You
literally,
were
that's how
throwing
he
parties out of a
threw the
van?
first party he threw was out of a
was out of
van.
the back of a cube van. Um,
Okay.
there was this event in Alberta called Stage 13. I know, dude, it's crazy to think about that now. Called Stage 13. This rock and roll station called The Bear would put it on, and they would have just rock bands, whatever it was. And in the early 2000s, at the first Stage 13 or the second, someone threw like a renegade rave stage on the back of a flatbed. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like in the campground, they did like a renegade thing. And this is a side note, I won't go too far, but I had a bit of association with the radio station at the time. So I got some passes to go. And I got a cube van from my work at the time, some speakers from this club called the Y After Hours. And I booked all of the local DJs in the scene to play this event. And I'd always heard from people, if you want to get booked at parties, you have to book the people who are playing parties. So I booked all of the locals, all of the club owners, all of the rave throwers to play this event at Stage 13, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door. Oh, you're not there. You
I'm right
like?
here, man. What are you
Oh,
talking
okay.
about? Yeah, I haven't left.
Oh,
I'm
weird.
very
I'm
I'm
getting.
very much involved. I heard your whole story, and it's
Oh,
quite
that's cool.
fascinating.
I'm
Yeah.
just seeing this like
Yeah.
smiley face on the back wall there. There it is.
Yeah, yeah, there is some details that are in the room. Yeah.
Your deco is great, man. You got a good budget for it.
How did you know? I actually
And
wanted this. I changed the lighting. I can do it right
I
now
know.
too. Like
Because you used to have like I think the furnace or whatever that thing is over there was a little more dominant to your shot, and you would have some rave lights hanging from it.
yeah, well, it depends on what's going on. You know,
Mm.
if I'm doing music, then see, like, boom, look at that. Ooh,
Whoa, damn,
yeah.
okay.
Hey, look at
Wow.
this. Wait, watch. Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
Oh man.
You're
right,
setting that
and then
vibe, yo.
Yeah.
Damn.
right, and then I make them get like lit up like this. So
Right, so we can see your
it
face.
depends. It depends, but I thought that this was the appropriate color for tonight. So
Mm. So go back to your question quick. Why I told you how old I am. We were chatting about this before. We've pretty much done all of the cool things you can do as a person in the scene. We've built our stage at Freezer Burn, that party we never got you to, it always wanted to. We've thrown an online festival basically now. We've played all these big, huge robot raves for all the people and all that stuff. And I'm definitely not like talking down of those things at all. Like that's how we met you, man, is at those events. So there's a lot of beautiful memories there. But like we're kind of like going down the production road right now. Like I'm doing piano lessons at home. Like I was a drummer. I played the drums for like 6 years, all through high school and a bit after. And
why
I kind of ditched
piano?
that. Um, I feel like the piano, if I can get back into the theory and learn how to write melodies and progressions and stuff like that, the piano I feel like translates a lot easier than say picking up a guitar or something like that. I just feel like the piano gives more of a generalized idea of scales, like I said, chord progression and structure and stuff like that. So I'm doing the piano thing right now, just kind of getting back into that, and we're just like chatting that like we're gonna start producing stuff now because it's about that time.
What about you? What about you, D? Dave's doing piano. What are you
So
doing?
so during the pandemic, I picked up some new gear. So I've been taking my chances at sample based beat making. I picked up an MPC Live 2. Just coming from a predominant DJ background, it just seems like it makes sense for me. And I have all this vinyl, and like like my house is on fire. I'm grabbing these records. Like every one of these records was something that I was like, I need this record, and I paid way too much for a single track when I think about it. But yeah, I'm like, there's a lot of gold on there, and I'm like, I want to sample these and I want to like rework them. And like the whole reason I bought these records back in the day is because when I listened to it, I was like, everybody needs to hear this. That's why I'm a DJ. I want everybody to hear this track, and I want to take those and I want to rework them and I want to sample them and I want to make them something else. So
You want to remix your records, or you want
yeah,
to
well,
try and
just
capture the
take the
vibes?
samples.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I want to capture the essence of a lot of these things, right? So
Hadn't you been recording samples?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. What are you gonna do? Are you guys gonna sit down and just and start slapping stuff together? What is the strategy? I mean, at what point do you both feel that you're gonna be ready for this?
Um, Ready as in, hey man, listen to this song and tell
Yeah.
me what you think. We haven't really we didn't really get into that far into the chat to be perfectly honest, but I don't know. Like, no, go ahead. You
I was
got
gonna
something.
say things tend to happen pretty quickly with Van Damage. Like it's um with regards to say when we were playing on CDJs and then all of a sudden like when we went to switch to Ableton, it was like it happened like breakneck. It was just something like we're doing it now. Here it is, ready to go. And that's kind of the way that we
Yeah.
these corners happen super fast.
I struggle a bit because like I OCD on a lot of the things that we do to like the point of like nauseum where I'll just have to like push stuff out even though I'm not really happy with it. So when you say being ready, even if I get to a point where we're writing music and recording vocals and stuff like that, I probably won't feel like I'm ready at that time either. So it's kind of like I heard somewhere that extroverts live longer. So I'm an introvert, but I practice extroverted things just for like the benefit. So it's like I don't think I'm ready, but I'm gonna do it anyway because even if I do the production thing, even if I'm not ready for it, if I'm doing it, it's gonna happen either way. So like I don't know, I know a lot of people wait around for that feeling to like, okay, I'm feeling it now, I'm gonna do the thing, but you can't wait for that feeling. You have to just do the thing whether you're feeling it or not because there's beauty in that too.
What were the advantages and disadvantages of switching from CDJ DJing to Ableton Live?
Like, is there? Okay, the only disadvantage I can think of using Ableton, and this is going to sound weird, but is I have to carry way more gear with me. And I used to be a vinyl DJ, and I would carry tons of, like, so many records, and it was so heavy, and it was everywhere, and people would steal them, and, like, it was, it was a gong show. But CDJs was, or I guess now, because it's USBs, right? Someone can walk in with a USB stick in their pocket, and away they go, and their headphones, and they're all set for the night. And I've still got my old vinyl bag, and I cram a laptop in there, an audio interface, and a whole bunch of snake full of cables, and other odds and ends that's all jammed in there. And there's a lot
Why
to
the
hook up.
audio interface?
So Dave and I, we more or less emulate like a 4x2 set. So we actually have in our Ableton set, we each have 2 tracks, and we have discrete outputs on the audio interface going into the mixer. So we'll each have 1 channel on the mixer. So essentially we have 4 decks that we're doing.
And you're splitting up the headphones? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but we just have a headphone splitter coming out of the mixer. So
which mixer? The DJ mixer that's there
yeah,
at the. So
Yeah.
it's all right. Okay.
it works pretty well because like one thing that because we
if
used to
it works for you, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Well, one thing that we would find is like the touch screen on Touchable was so high maintenance. That's a good word for it. Like having to click and drag up all the sound bars and like turning the bass off and on. Like we missed using the mixer, like using our hands to turn up the bass, turn up the mids and stuff like that, and kind of mixing with the faders. Like we kind of missed that. And it's like, okay, here, man, I'm going to mix in a song, and you're just like, sliding up stuff on your iPad. Like that's, I don't know, it felt really foreign to us. And then of course he came up with a way where we can use the mixer still and do all that stuff, the cues and the effects if we want to use them and stuff like that, just so we still had that aspect.
I've had problems with the newer MacBook, but I think that's because of the operating system I'm on. So depending on the operating system, but the DJ M900 NXS1 and I don't know what I'm on. I think whatever was before El Capi 10, it's USB into it. Just bang, and the mixer becomes both audio interface and mixing board simultaneously.
Right.
So moving around, it was just laptop and cable because
Right.
I stopped. I stopped worrying about the controllers or the audio interface and just use the board.
Right. That makes sense. I feel like for us, like we were kind of more stationed like just in Western Canada. So we would play like pretty much all over Alberta, a bit into BC. But if we were, traveling around like you were and going all over the places, I think we probably would have streamed. Well, I'm not gonna say we.
No,
he would have streamlined it a little bit
yeah.
more to make it a little more user friendly, right?
No, I'm
Like if
with
you're
you.
playing
But
at home in
it's
Toronto,
funny you were
you get to
saying
play
it. I'm in full agreement with you. I mean, the more things change,
Yeah.
the more they stay the same. That's been a big theme for me here on Utility Room. I was running around with 2 record bags, 80 records in
Yeah.
each bag. I don't know what they weighed, 40 or 50 pounds each. And then when I went to CDs, I had 3 or 4 of those master books. I don't know, they had like
Yeah.
150
Yeah.
CDs each or
Case
something.
logics.
Yeah, that thing weighed like 30 or
Yeah.
40 pounds, you know what I mean? And then
Right.
and then moving into live, when I first started using live, I had the 3 Korg Nano controllers. I had an audio
That
interface.
white that white thing, the white one with the
They're thin and
yeah.
small. One was a
Yeah,
piano,
yeah,
one
yeah.
was a pad, and the other one was
Right.
a mixing,
Yeah,
and they were
yeah.
really super tiny. And I used to line
Right.
them up and make my own like mixing board out of it, because at that point I wasn't aware of MIDI controllers that might have had faders and knobs on it, which is what I was really craving. And also at that point, mixers weren't compatible, at least not in a great way. I mean, a MIDI did come, I think, with the Pioneer boards. I can't remember which version. And when it first happened, the clock on it was not very great, at least in my opinion. It
Right.
wasn't. And so,
Right.
it made things, bad. Um, and obviously stuff got better. And then, yeah, I changed things
Yeah.
around. Now, here I'll hold it up. I'll show you what I'm using right now. I've got two of these, uh, which are dope, and they're super thin.
Mm,
Look how
yeah.
thin. Look how thin that is, and
Damn.
really light. So like it's like, I don't know, maybe the same width as a laptop. It's a
It's a
Novation.
launch pad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a launch
Innovation.
pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I got two of these, and then they've discontinued this. I'm not quite sure why, but I snagged one and I love it. So check that out. And it's got, oh wait, here, let me line that up better. It's got all the faders
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
knobs. It's called Launch Control XL. So you get 8 faders, and then three pots per fader. Obviously you can turn the channels on and off. The whole thing is MIDI mappable. And so I roll
Yeah. Yeah.
around, if I'm now going to go to a show, which you know that
Right. We're in the same boat, man.
um then I can, if depending on what I'm trying to do also, like if it's, I'm like, I'm going to get really like deep science, I'm going to bring 3 controllers and maybe a few other pieces. But if I'm just going to rock out like a DJ set and just have some fun, and it's at the end of the day, I only need one of these, really, like, unless I'm trying to, be like, look at me, and sometimes I want to do that, which is fun, but yeah.
Something like, so I watched your episode with Check. Love that guy, by the way. Actually, I think he was playing at that party where I couldn't DJ at in Calgary. I think
We
that was,
we booked him for a show in
well, that,
Edmonton as
yeah,
well.
that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So for us, like, we started with vinyl, but we kind of came in at the very end. Like, I started DJing '01, and I think you were like maybe a year before that.
Yep, 2000. Yeah.
What was it like for you, um, switching from vinyl to CDJ? Because for me, not only was it like physically a different thing, but I kind of felt like at that time the game was changing. Because when I used to get vinyl, like we were talking about how expensive they were. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, the that Call on Me track. Like, I remember getting a white label of that off of this website in the UK called Chemical Records, and I spent like $70 getting it sent here, and I would play that song multiple times in a set because people would never hear that song anywhere. So they would come to see the DJ because of the music that they had in their crates, right? So it's like, that Damon has this track that nobody else has. So you're going to go see him specifically because, maybe 3 people in the city have those songs. So um not only do I miss that part of it where you can't Shazam what's going on, but like the game has changed so much for DJing that like, I don't know, it doesn't have the luster that it used to have, because anyone could be anyone. Like, I could go to a Dead Mouse set and Shazam all his stuff, and then a week later I could go play all his music somewhere. And obviously I'm not Dead Mouse, but you can kind of emulate a little bit easier. And I don't know, I
No,
sometimes
I
just
think
struggle
I
with
think I
that.
think you I think you said it, actually. You're not Dead Mouse. I'm not meaning that in a condescending way.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not, no, I'm being sincere. I mean, like it's he's not up there just playing tracks. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
he has. I'm not sure. I can't speak about all of his sets, but I'm rather confident that, if he wants to go up there and rock out, it's not him hitting a button. He's got enough gear and the know how to use it and wants to. So,
Mhm.
and it's going to be about finding a unique sound at that moment, and perhaps it doesn't get replicated, and that's what makes the live show unique.
Yeah.
And so, and in regards to hearing stuff that that you could Shazam, yes, of course, there's going to be sets like this, but wouldn't you agree that we can't say that's for everybody? And especially in the bass scene for dubstep, I find, in my opinion, that you're going to get tons of people who are performing with their own edits, remixes, or what has
Mm.
become not white label. What white label? ID. This is what it
Yeah,
is now, right?
ID,
So,
right, right,
and we'll
right.
check out my ID. Be like, you mean white label? It's coming out? Yeah, it's coming out, but not for 6 months. Be like, white label? No, ID. So, okay, ID. Here
Right.
we are. So ID. So then, and then, no, there's no Shazam to it. Maybe this Shazam will work 6 months or 8 months or a year down the road when the song finally hits. But this is quite common for especially for the DJs who are doing stuff to show up And this is how music is figured out what ends up getting released and what just stays in the box. Because there's some stuff that works really well live, but maybe doesn't work so well play after play. You'd be like, you listen to it 3, 4 times, you're like, it's good, but I'm
Right.
not pressing play on this anymore, versus something that, you've played, 10 times a week for the last 5 years.
Right.
These differences. So, and how is that difference discovered? The best way for it, and this is, maybe this is true for rock music or hip hop or other genres. I'm unaware, but for electronic music, for sure, this is true. This is how stuff gets test driven. And and so let me jump in right now and give you a whole bunch of shit real quick. The white label was the record label. That was their way of going and giving record shops an opportunity to give these tracks to the hot DJs that were coming in, who would be going off to play the shows. And if these DJs were playing these hot tracks, much like what you were saying, then people would want to come out to the set because they heard DJ XARP.
Yeah.
They heard that DJ play this song at that place, and a bunch of people were talking about it because it had this particular sample, and boy, oh boy, it was fucking amazing. And so the white label, and that was a promotional piece. But what was before the white label? Well, the answer is there too, and it was very expensive. It was the dub plate. People would make a fresh track, so fresh
Right.
that it would take a long time before it would hit white label. That period of time that would happen, there would be a DJ that was out there would be like, yo, I must have this. And this is pre dubstep, and wouldn't you know it, where the dubstep scene, in my opinion, also got lots from, was drum and bass, jungle. So jungle,
Oh, for
drum and
sure.
bass, this is where a lot of the dubstep culture was coming from. And they did not start it. This came from reggae, all right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Or like ska.
that's
Yeah.
right, because the reggae DJs would have exclusive to a lot of the bands that were making brand new songs, and they wanted to have that unique piece that you're talking about, that they'd show up to the club and they'd pull out this freshie, this dub plate that was cut just for them. And maybe the recording was shit, maybe it wasn't, maybe it worked, maybe you're up there bending pots just trying to make it work. Whatever the
Right.
story is, you would have the song and you would play it. And so I think, in my mind, the big difference is accessibility. This is what has changed. All
Yeah.
right. You're
Yeah.
talking about Shazam, but what about the idea of Shazam, and then the idea that that portal will take you to another portal with a touch of a button that will actually either add the song to your library or let you download it, add it to your playlist, etc. So the convenience is there, the accessibility
Yeah.
is there. Does that diminish the adventure?
I think it's just changed the way that we have to approach this adventure.
Yeah.
I kind of touched on it earlier. Like it's like before it was you go to the record store and you lay these down, you kind of listen, you go through. But now I have to do that so many more times. Like say if I'm like clicking through tracks online, like it's the hunt for music takes way longer now. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the
For
same
sure.
for you, but it's the time that I have to put in behind the scenes in order to find all these tracks that I want has definitely increased. And whether
The
it be
pile's gotten
for a
bigger.
one, yeah,
Oh my
The
God.
pi-
yeah,
That's
the,
and
but,
crazy.
and
but
in
but
the
that's why though, right? It's not. I mean, like, it's not like the great music's not out there. Right? I mean,
oh no,
right? It's just
yeah,
that it's gotten a bigger pile. But you go to the record store, your pile was 40, 50 discs, and you're out the door, right? So and out of
Right.
the 40
But even
and out of the 40 and 50, how many did you buy? Four,
yeah,
five? If you
maybe
got
on the
yeah, if
yeah,
you got if
maybe.
you got five records out of the, I mean, that you'd be like, holy shit, you're going home with five. Firstly, your wallet is empty, and secondly, you're stunned. You're like, you couldn't believe you got five new
Right.
pieces. Right.
Right.
So so
Plus
so it so has
plus
so has
like
it
go
changed
ahead.
then?
Well, one thing that just like as you were speaking, it popped a memory in my head. When I first started DJing, a lot of the DJs in the city were friends, like before the record shop opened their shop. Like they were friends with the people who were the owners. So I would go to these places like Treehouse or DV8 if you're from Edmonton. And the songs that we would see on the wall, like for display, weren't even all the best ones, because all the best ones usually got picked through on Monday night when all the orders came in. Here, but then they give them all to their friends, and then they put up on the wall what's left. So not only would you have like a limited access to all the quote unquote good stuff, if you did walk out of there with 3 or 4 tracks that you would play regularly, it was awesome because again, you weren't even getting access to all of the fresh tracks because all of the buddies of the record store owners got those first.
It's a different accessibility issue than we have now.
So then isn't it that the future and the accessibility has made things more even for the playing field for DJs?
For sure, but like also like with us and with you, we're not just up there mixing songs together. Like we're remixing on the fly. It's like, oh hey, I'm playing a house track. I'm going to take the first 8 bars of this Crafty Cuts remix, and on the second drop, when that drops, I'm going to throw in that break beat just to like change it up. So
and then he'll look over and he'll be like, "Oh, throw a loop on that," or you know what I mean? Like it's like we're trying as much as we can in order to make our own identity, even with like everyone having the accessibility to all of this same music.
yeah, it's like, oh, we're up here DJing wirelessly on our iPads. Check this out and look at this little like, these launch pads that you have in here too. Because there's so many people out there who are just mixing songs together. And there's nothing wrong with that because they're sharing their art. But like, I don't know, maybe I'm high maintenance, but all of our mixes that we put out, like we always try to add a little stuff in it, whether it's some inspirational quotes from like Bruce Lee or like whatever meme is going on, or some Dave Chappelle edit that we'll come up with just to kind of give people a little more than just the mixtape, because it's like, hey, here's 60 minutes of a guy blending songs together. It's like, that's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's 2020, man, 2021, like like there's that meme on the internet where it's like someone's on the ground hurt and someone's like, oh, is anyone here a doctor? And it's like, no, everyone's a DJ. It's like, we can't help, we're all DJs now. So like if you can actually stand out and do something
But we
a little
are,
bit different.
aren't we? If somebody has a Spotify or an Apple Music or a Tidal, are they not DJs at this point? If you've got a playlist that you've created, if you've got playlists, then what is the difference?
Well, I don't know. There's a David Glad track that I have from a long time ago. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words.
Donald Glad.
Donald Glad. Sorry, I'm blending people together.
You're David.
Glad.
He's
That's
Glad. Together, you're David Glad. It's
that's
a
why I
perfect
didn't
duo,
sound right.
right?
I was like,
email him. He's like, go for it. It's possible.
Maybe get him on his podcast. He had a track called like, I can't remember what the song was, but the sample was, just because you put DJ in front of your name doesn't mean you are one. Because like everyone can be like, oh yeah, I'm a DJ now. It's like, even though Record Box or Serato's mixing all your stuff together.
Why is that? Why
because it's cool. Because it became mainstream. Like what I was talking about when music switched from vinyl to MP3 was around the same time. Like before, it used to be the rave scene was here and the mainstream was here. And now it's like mainstream and rave are everywhere. Like you can turn on a commercial, it's like, oh, Nissan, and they got a dubstep beat playing in the background. Like I can remember when I first heard the Essential Mix on an FM radio station in Edmonton in like 06. They were playing the Essential Mix at like 1 a.m. I'm like, wow, I'm hearing Pete Tong on FM radio in Edmonton in the middle of nowhere. Like that's where the scene went. So it's mainstream and it's the cool thing to be. Everyone wants to be a DJ. And the clout that goes
it sounds like you're unhappy about that.
No, because like I don't know, I guess I'm just lucky because we're like all artists that have to evolve. Like here's another one I'm gonna reference, like Madonna. She's been around for so long. She's been through so many different forms, whether she's like gothy or like mystical or like a Buddhist or whatever. She's constantly changing, constantly evolving, and you have to keep doing that because, like you said, just like music as well, there's so many DJs everywhere. So you have to be able to like read a crowd, understand like the technology aspect. You can't just go up and like play songs and hope to have a good, following or DJ set. There's more to it than just blending songs together. And that's kind of what the mass amounts of people have kind of brought, or the mass amount of DJs that have kind of shown up. Maybe that's a better way.
If this is your opinion about this end of the culture, what are you doing to help promote that and keep it cemented in people's thoughts?
I'm just putting this together. Last summer, we got an art grant from the Alberta government to throw a festival. Because of COVID, they were doing this thing called Culture Days. And as soon as we got this grant, I was like getting on my phone, like messaging all my friends, like, yo, we got this thing. Come on here, like come. So not only could they have an experience, like a festival experience, but they could also get paid for it.
Yeah,
So
they could showcase their own art. So
yeah,
we actually brought together a group of artists from many different styles. This painting behind us, this is actually painted by a local artist. Her name's Beth Martin. She actually did a live painting that we streamed at one of our online events. That might have been the same one that we had you jump on for.
Thanks for that, by the way.
Yeah, right. So and
No,
she
no,
went to the
thank you.
university. She went to the University of Toronto into art school, and she's actually moving back east. But anyways, we had an opportunity to be able to promote the art across many different types of artists. Right? We had flow artists, we had visual artists, we had DJs,
People making pottery.
yeah, we had people
like
making pottery.
necklaces. Yeah.
Yeah, we streamed it all online, and it was actually paid for by a grant that we received from the Alberta government in order to do this. So I think the way that we're actually promoting this is by investing in artists and art in itself. And yeah.
And like to unpack that a little bit more, something that happened to us around in the late 2000s was we were getting exposed to the Burning Man community. So we would wear this Bootang hat where we would go to like, all the big like Shaw Conference Center or all the big venues in Edmonton and play these raves for all these people. And then we would go play these Burning Man events, a little bit smaller, a little more real. Like, so we would see people volunteering their time, because you know how Burning Man is, everything's a volunteer. Everyone is blood, sweat, and tears building these stages, building these art pieces. So we're surrounded by people who are doing stuff. Then we would go to this other side of our life where everything's paid for, thousands of dollars for the lights, for the sound, for all the big name DJs and stuff. So we were in this middle weird spot of this beautiful thing that had soul, where people are like, putting all of their money into it, fundraising, crowdsourcing. And then we go to this other thing where it's just like, here's a whole bunch of money, here's a huge party, there's thousands of people here. So from the outside, you look at that big event and you're like, that's where I think I want to be. But then when you're in there, there's not really much depth to it. And then we would go to these smaller events and there would be people, again, doing stuff, whether it's art, music, flow art. So that aspect, the festival scene and the Burning Man scene, really changed the way that we do our stuff. I feel like you were talking earlier about aliases. Like I also see Van Damage as like a platform for other people to like get on board this, man. If you're a flow artist, come spin at one of our DJ sets. Oh, you're an MC, yo, come drop some rhymes while we're playing. Like we try to get people, because it's not easy to do that, to get in, like I was talking about before. So I don't know, I kind of like not only see us as a musical thing, but we're also like a platform for people to get out. And because we used to build a stage at Freezer Burn and we would have a talent show. And we would see people up on stage performing for the first time in front of like hundreds of people, shaking, shivering, nervous, just playing. And you can hear in their voice, it's just like shivering. And you can see people's first real experiences performing. And that's inspiring to see, So we would be in this dichotomy of real soul compared to corporate. And we've just kind of gone in the direction of the Burning Man scene and the community and stuff, because it's real and you can see real stuff going on. I don't know if that answers your question long-windedly or not.
Creating great events with great artists.
Yeah.
When you first started listening to electronic music, what were you listening to?
Oh God.
I don't know.
Because I think you were talking to maybe Flipside about this. By the way, thank you for booking us when you did. We were like surrounded by so many of like our idols, like Hatiris, Check, like Flipside. Like I remember seeing Hat Jack. I don't know who the bass player.
Jameson Jackson.
Yeah, man, he was at this rave. Jackson had this bass guitar and he was doing this like slap on the bass and pretending to like shoot people in the crowd, and I'd be like, what is going on here? This is the craziest thing. So you were talking about like CNC Music Factory and 2 Unlimited and stuff like that. One of my friends when I was like 12 or 13 would get all of the like Much Dance compilations from like the early 90s. They'd have like Robin with a Y, like 2 Unlimited, like I said, like CNC Music Factory, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I got exposed to it, was this through a friend of mine who would get all of these Much Music mixes. Plus I would watch Electric Circus on
All right, so
TV.
so I wanna freeze you.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know that I'm not here to be like, my way or the things that I've got to say is the way or the only,
Yeah.
the way you should be. Or it's just, it's my thoughts. When I'm hearing you discuss the differences between the parties, between the idea that you've got something that you would refer to as more wholesome, organic, or something that is more corporate, um, it makes me wonder about your own evolution as a person, as a partier, as a raver, and the management of expectations as a result of your involvement in any of that. I'm saying this because when you first started listening to electronic music, it sounds to me like you got it from a very corporate source.
100%, man. 100%.
Even if you feel that any group, XARP, went corporate, is that not great as a doorway? Knowing that whoever walked through that
For
door,
sure.
they may orbit around that for a moment, but then their journey might be very similar to yours.
100%. Um, hopefully I didn't come across like I was like shunning that.
No,
Um,
not
yeah. Okay.
and again, who am I?
Well,
But I'm just saying,
we won't go down that
but
road.
no, let's go. We can. I mean, like really, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this because I feel that the conversation of save our scene has been going on for a long time. I had an episode of Utility Room with Jules Bangsworth, and we did a switch, and she interviewed me, and I totally bunged up a question. I fucked it all up because she asked me when I first started going out, and I said 96, which is not true. The answer is 94. I went and I looked, and afterwards, and I was like, oh, that's a 2-year difference. It's a big difference. And 96 is kind of actually when I first started going out as Jello. Um, in 94, the conversation was save our scene. It was. I have flyers with it written on it.
Yeah,
And
we had
and
that
that
too.
conversation and that statement of save our scene is ongoing today. And it feels like that I'm getting a bit of that from you. And I'll say this. Thank gosh we all love it enough that that's exactly what we're trying to do. And it doesn't sound like that idea is an idea that gets put to bed or that it rests and that we can't do it. It's an ongoing effort. It
Yeah,
it
it
doesn't.
evolves itself for sure. Yeah.
And I think that when I hear, and I'm not suggesting that you're saying this, I'm just talking out loud as an aside. It's almost like a digression I'm going on right now. When I hear the idea, oh, it's changed. It's not good anymore. I always think to myself, what are you doing about it?
I think.
because
Well,
because the attitudes are contagious.
yeah.
So we like
Well, we
we,
change, right? And the scene doesn't. Like an example that pops in my head, like
that was
when I,
beautiful. I agree with you
yeah,
wholeheartedly. Yes, and this is
yeah,
what I
like
was
we,
saying to you about your personal.
yeah, and it's kind of
Yes,
like how I see like a DJ set. Like if like I always have a few songs. I'm sure Damon's the same. Like if the crowd isn't moving in a good way, it's like I know if I play this song, it's gonna work. So I kind of see like an hour. I have songs that kind of move through. Like you kind of mentioned earlier, there's a song that you play once or twice and then maybe it goes away. There's songs that hang around and stuff like that. Like the scene stays where it is and the people move through it. It's not like like yes, the scene is obviously evolving as well, musically, production, all of the technical stuff, but it's like everything. You kind of when you have the same experience over and over, you kind of get done with it. Like there was a venue in Edmonton called the Polish Hall, and we used to decorate there all the time. But when you go to this venue so many times, it's like it doesn't matter how you decorate it, it's still the same place. And the feeling that you used to get when you would go isn't really there anymore. And that's the part of you that changes. So the evolution from us, at least from Boudang to like the Burning Man community and Space Grove and all the stuff that we're doing now, was just a reflection of our growth, just kind of being done with the scene before. Did that scene give us a platform to, perform from and get exposure? 100%. And is it still there doing what it does? 100%. But it's like my first rave music that I started DJing was trance music. If I listen to trance music now, it just doesn't move me. But it's going to move that person over there. And if it's moving them, beautiful. Go to this place. You can have this beautiful experience. But like everything, we just kind of get out of it. But in the Freezer Burn community, the Burning Man community, there's constant change happening. New producers, new art, new stages. So you're actually surrounded by evolution rather than the thing that's kind of like the mainstream scene that's always there. And I think when it's like we want to save the scene, it's just the people want it back to the way it was when they were in it for the first time.
Which is ironic because when we were in it at that
awesome,
time,
Dave. All that was awesome. Yeah,
it was ironic
because
it was beautiful. We were in that scene, and what did we want? We were like, we want everybody to have a part of this scene, and then it skyrocketed.
It's like, this isn't what we wanted.
Yeah, and then we're
we
like,
wanted this, but not this.
So we all got what we wished for, and now we want to be surrounded by creativity.
Yeah. Because we were having such beautiful experiences in the early rave days where it was like fulfilling and soulful and real. You'd have these conversations with people and you'd meet people and you would like who wouldn't want that? But you just don't think of what happens when it becomes mainstream or more popular. And now there's dubstep car commercials and everyone's a DJ. And, if you say you're a DJ, it's like, oh, you too. It's like, cool. That's just a reality of it. But if you can be somewhere where there's constant growth happening and you're surrounded by it, it's inspiring. Basically, that's why I love the Burning Man thing so much.
You guys have got 3 records in your box, or keys, CDs, Ableton. It never leaves. It's your surefire guarantees. They're going to light the floor right up. It's going to make the stuff happen. It's pure magic, makes everything A-okay. What are they?
Do you want to break that into genres? Because I got too many throughout different genres.
I'm going to lay one down first. Novi versus ENIAC Pumpin'.
Yeah, that's
number one. Yeah, that one.
Still,
that one's on. Yeah.
And it's just as soon as the bass line drops with the 4/4.
Nailed it.
100%. I don't wait. Can we see it?
Are you pointing? Are you going this one?
Yeah,
right
this
here?
one. Freestylers push up. Your body.
Is that next to mine? It sounds a bit like it's almost like a Michael Jackson-y thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that song.
That's another one. Oh man, I'm trying to think which ones that I play. Can you think of any that are like?
You got a lot.
Oh God, I don't.
Just Jack?
No, man. For like house music. Oh,
like Writer's Block.
Okay, Writer's Block. Yeah, okay, Just Jack,
That's
Writer's Block. No, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The Crafty Cuts refix. That really like heavy banging one. That's definitely a go-to.
Sick.
You played that recently. I remember that.
Yeah. Man, like there were people who were like who would come request that song. Like, yo, you're gonna play that like breakbeat, like Jello track? I'm like, yeah, I got you, buddy. Like it was like a regular.
Crafty went to work in it. I'll have to ask him about it on Utility Room. He's gonna be with us in like 6 weeks.
Oh shit, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have him.
Oh man, he's so dope.
Yes. Okay, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
We went deep tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
I think we did.
Yeah. I felt
Peeled
like
back
this was
the layers of the scene.
A successful threesome.
For sure. Let me ask you one question quick. What 3 songs do you play that are like guaranteed to do the thing that you need it to do when the time is right?
Plastic Man Spastic. The Reward is Cheese. And
right.
I've got something right now that I'm just not letting go of. It's called Enchanted. I've played it a few times on Utility Room.
Hang on. Opening phone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Enchanted? What's it called? Who's it by?
Yeah, IN and then Enchanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what about like classic stuff? Like we dropped some like old stuff. Like
you want a super classic? Gosh, there's way more than 3. Don't laugh, Josh Wink.
Oh yeah.
Josh Wink, damn. Okay.
Um, Pulsate,
I know.
Rob Little, HMC remix. Um, Giselle Jackson, Love Commandments, Loop to Loop remix. Armin van Helden's remix of Tori Amos, Professional Widow.
Praise You by Fatboy Slim is another one of ours
Ooh,
too.
it's great. I
Yeah.
just did a super mixtape. It's like over 2 hours long of just classics from 1994 to 2004.
Oh damn. Okay.
And it's on Mixcloud right now, and it's called Hot To Time Machine. And I took
Okay. Oh wait, I think I saw that.
I
Okay.
took Hot Tub Time Machine's poster, and I put To, because these were all the songs. I mean, like you I think you'll recognize that if you go through the track list, which is on
Yeah.
Mixcloud, you can see it's classic, at least for me, and what I thought Toronto was at that time. Speaking of mixes and Mixclouds, where can we hear Van Damage?
There's pretty much Van Damage music on all the socials.
Yep.
Facebook, or even on Twitter for some reason. SoundCloud.
Yep. SoundCloud. Yep.
Yeah. We haven't got on the Mixcloud yet. I don't know. I don't know why, but I kind of just stick to the SoundCloud. It's what I know.
Guys, I don't know what's up. It's like the platform. IMHO, like I feel like it's the way. It's weird that it hasn't been adopted by everybody everywhere, because they're doing all the good things. They're doing the hosting for free. You can make super long mixes if you want. There's no muting on anything, and that's because they're actually distributing money from their advertisements to the artists, labels, publishers, or whoever's controlling the copyright of the music, which means
We got to get on that.
Yeah. Will be Van
so
Damage music on there, unless nobody's
Right.
taking that already.
Right. Okay. I am absolutely appreciative of spending time with you both tonight.
Yeah,
Thank you very, very much for being a part of the show, and getting
Anytime.
together and doing this. Sharing your thoughts and your opinions as well. Super awesome sauce.
Thanks, man. Love
Much
you, dude. Can't
appreciated.
wait to see you in person again. Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, well, I would like that a lot.
Yeah, dude. All of us will, man.
Soon. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Somehow,
Throw a
some way.
festival. Who knows?
Yeah. Poke my arm and get me involved. That is Van Damage.
I'll just reach to you on here.
This is Utility Room. You are absolutely awesome, sauce. And thanks a lot for tuning in.
Love you, buddy.
Y'all don't touch that dial. I mean, you too. Don't touch